Hello and welcome. Y'all know the drill already for this intro. But hello and welcome wherever you are on the planet. Good morning, afternoon, or evening. You're watching Head and Shoulders ATR, where we cover athletes, performances, or otherwise that are head and shoulders above the rest. And you know what we about to do up on this video, right? We about to get into that content that's real. But before that, don't forget to kiss the diamond as you do all the time. Smash that like button, hit subscribe, and always comment in the comment section below and share with other people. Look, we know what the title is. It's who would win in an Olympic redo between these two, between Gabby Thomas and Shericka Jackson. Would Shericka Jackson, if she was in that final, make it to a silver medal? Because she ain't going to be beating Elaine Thompson-Herah. She was just way too fast. She was untouchable at this Olympics. I think it would be unreasonable for anybody in their right mind that's following track and field, even if it's your first year this year, to even suggest that anybody else had a chance against her in that 200. And that is impossible. Okay? But could Shericka Jackson have made a Jamaica 1-2? Or would she have replaced Gabby Thomas for third? Or maybe she couldn't beat Gabby Thomas at all. We about to go into those details in this video. Look, when I'm looking up Shericka Jackson, this is what I'm finding. Are y'all seeing this same thing? She be having the funniest freaking faces. What is going on? Every time I'm looking at this, she got the highest amount. What are the camera people are hilarious because they be catching her at the exact right moment. What is she doing? This look like a pouted face. What if this is like the face you make when the coaches try to tell you something, you like, dang, I messed up. I know I messed up. If this is the other angle, I'm like, dang, these camera people are hilarious. She's hilarious for even doing some of these faces. But okay, all right. Look, we're not gonna listen to Shelly-Ann Fraser-Pryce, right? We're not gonna listen to Shelly-Ann Fraser-Pryce on this one. Look, this is what she wanted us to do. Hopefully y'all heard that audio. She wanted us to video Shericka panties, sir. And and by the way, the algorithm is so soft-shelled. These developers want us to be in the snowflake class so much that, did you know that when I did a private live stream to myself, I can't even download it, so I'm recording this again. They actually demonetized it because of it's not safe for advertisers because the word panties. Oh my goodness. Where are we getting to? No wonder people in the comment section, they got grown up with this in their school system of them telling them every single word got to have a trigger warning and everything. So let's get into content today before I leave too much ice on their head and then they rage quit off of this video. So here we are. Here's Gabby Thomas, right? We're going to go over their stats first for each one of them. It's a little bit stretched, so it's not the perfect I'm using a different streaming or a recording software because I need to be able to put these images up instead of shifting through on each one. So they're a little bit stretched more long than they are wide. So they're a little bit elongated on these videos, just to let you know on the video. So let's go over Shericka Jackson, right? Shericka Jackson, we got to go over her right here. Right? Okay. Let's go over her stats first. Then we're going to go over to Thomas. First, we're going to examine the 100-meter dash. Obviously, she's run a 10.76 not only once, but twice. Okay, she's got the twice and against the headwind. Now, she has a 200 of a 21.81, and she did that in Zurich. You know, they called that the one-day Olympics. So, hey, if it's the one-day Olympics, we're going to examine not only the Diamond League final, which is like our Premier League, right? We're going to look at this, or the Diamond League is like our Premier League. We're going to look at if she could have won against her at the one-day Olympics or the Diamond League final and at the Tokyo Olympics, because why not? Then let's look at her 400. It's a 49.47, and she had a PR there in Doha. Now, to my understanding, what I've been told is that she must have been injured, and then so she went through the 400 program because she was originally like a 1 and a 2, as we see in high school, right? And so she must have got injured, so she went through the 400 track so that she could, until she basically had rehabilitated herself. And now she's back down to the event she would have been in. But as we see with Usain Bolt and other people like Fred Curley, you can start coming down from the 400, and you actually might be better than if you just did the 1 and the 2. So this might have actually helped her. So that's that. Let's look now at Gabby Thomas. Let's look at her, not the results. What the heck? Let's look at her personal best. Now, she's got to beat out, but look, here's the 100. Okay, she got a PR this year. That's good. That's good. That's good. 11 seconds. So she has not yet broken 11. Now, for the people that are new to track and field here, if you're looking at this and it has an asterisk mark, the asterisk mark is not legal. If you get over a 2.0, 2.0, or anything over a 2.0, it's now not legal. Okay, for everybody that's not familiar with track and field, so you gotta be 2.0 and under for your wind reading. That means the tailwind, the one that's pushing you back, because it gives you too much of a boost. We call it a rocket boost on here. So now let's look at her 200. She's got a 2161, a plus 1.3. So for the new people, that's legal. All right. Her 400, also new time this year. That's good, right? All of them are fresh this year. 51.15. Now, we got some soft booty people. They said, I don't like that you're not saying point. Did you know that the announcers, even at Zurich, go back to the Zurich 400 and they say 51 something. There's a slight pause, but it kind of misinterpreted. You could think that the winning time is 51 something if you weren't looking at the screen. It was 50 point. But even the announcers, they don't always say point. They say sometimes 1094. So there are a lot of people that are here. They're saying, hey, I don't like how you're saying this. You should be. I'm an announcer, done it at national levels. So much so that I have influenced international and locally national people saying and change, 25 and change, 657 and change. Instead of saying 657.25, it will be 657 and change. Everyone in laps. I did it mainly in the distance races. But you hear the British announcers, they say it for 2 seasons. This was after I did it on a national stage in 2015, and I was using it before, but that's when I got to a national stage. So just to let you guys know, that's influence. That's announcing. We do it interchangeably. Now, let's go back here. Let's look at one thing. I looked at their 60. That's not going to be compatible because Gabby doesn't have, or Shericka Jackson doesn't have an indoor 60 time. So it just really wouldn't be relevant. And we don't know the wind reading on Shericka Jackson's 731. Even though it's slower, it could be a negative wind. It could be a positive. We really don't know. So now let's look at the next step. We're going to look at the results here for each one of the athletes. Look, when it comes down to it, oh, that's the 100. We got to go to the 200. When it comes down to it, look, if you were following any time this year and you saw the Jamaican championships, for the people that haven't, they're probably looking at this for Gabby Thomas. Shericka Jackson looked like she was, somewhat holding back when she ran this 2182. It's like they didn't want to pass Shelly-Ann Fraser-Pryce. They all looked around a little bit and they said, hey, we got our ticket here. Shelly-Ann got off on us on a curb. Even Elaine Thompson-Hera looked like she was holding back a little bit. They looked like they could have gone faster. It looked like they were trying hard. Don't get it like it was a jog or something. But it seemed like they all could have gone faster, including Shelly-Ann Fraser-Pryce. She's shorter, so of course her legs are going to be moving faster. But you can see by body movement that they all look eerily too comfortable. And yeah, Shericka Jackson did move a little bit, and then Shelly-Ann moved up a little bit more, and then it was just like, all right, here's where we are. But it looked like she could have moved more. Maybe she just looks like a very comfortable runner. That could be the thing too. But based on this, I'm putting that into the my calculation here. Now, after that, after the Jamaican trials, she went on a series of 200s. And I think she ran a 100 too. But then she came here and ran, and she beat Shanae Miller-Weibo in exactly the fashion that I said. If you're going to beat Shanae Miller-Weibo, you got to get out on the curb ahead of her, or anybody else. You got to get out on the curb ahead of her because Shericka Jackson's not particularly too fast, but she got closing speed. So if she can get out ahead of people that are, faster than her, and with her closing speed, she should win. And that's what she did with Shanae Miller-Uibo. So here's a 22.10, right? And then here's a 21.96, right? So with those, she has proven against the headwind that she can consistently run this low 22 and then break 22. And this was like her prepping for the Olympics. Then we know what happened. She ran the 23.26. You know what she said in the interview? She said she was looking at the projector screen and it was a slight delay. You know how many other athletes look at that and then they do perfectly fine? So I don't know about y'all, but I've been seeing Shericka Jackson, and even in this Zurich one, it's like she's not in the race all the way. It's either she's focused too much on her lane, because she didn't even look to her inside to see where Mboma was and didn't even lean. It was like, hey, I know I'm finna lose against her or something like that. Maybe she was satisfied with that. I don't know. I love to interview her or get to ask her, because I'm like, man, Miss Jackson, come on, Miss Jackson. Can we get you here, right? Now, let's go over to Gabby Thomas. We didn't win on that and beat that one to death. Now, let's go over to Gabby Thomas. Here's something. Oh, one last thing. She opened up the season, while this was in February for Shericka Jackson, 22.79. Just keep this in mind. She opened up at a 22.79, but she still was not faster than Gabby Thomas even by May, right here, a month before the Jamaican trials, or a month and a half, really. Even here at that Destiny series, she just ran a 22.9 something, even slower than before, with more of a tailwind. So she's running a 22.79 open the season. What did Gabby Thomas open it with in March? So, like I said, even in May and early June, she was not showing signs. She ran a 22.17. So she opened up pretty good. And then at the USATF Sprint Summit, which is that Continental Tour bronze level event, that's more chill against a massive headwind, she ran a 23.04. Now, here we go. Here's where it gets very interesting. She starts to run PR in round one of the USA trials, 21.98. PR again of the USA trials with more tailwind, 21.94. She's on a momentum, and this helps you. The momentum helps you. Then she ran this 21.61, right? She ran a 21.61 seconds. At that time, that was the third fastest recorded. Now, if she didn't celebrate like she did, she most likely would have ran a 21.58, 21.59, maybe even faster than that, because she put her hands in the air. Obviously, she wasn't leaning, and she was just happy with it. I would have liked to see her go faster, right? I would have liked to see her run a 21.55 if that was possible. She would have been the first athlete and put the flag down for everybody else, the standard for the first athlete of the year. Now, in a long time, going 21.5, right? We haven't seen anybody go 21.5 in a while. We've seen multiple 21.6s. Obviously, skippers, Elaine Thompson-Herah, and others. We've seen the 21.6s, but we wouldn't have seen the 21.5. That would have been more satisfying to me personally. But here we go. Now, we know in a video I have, now we're 13 minutes in, right? This is where I'm going to put a mark of the previous video I had on Gabby Thomas, where I said she could potentially win if she's able to find a reproduction of her finishing speed. I've watched so many of her races, and I had never, ever seen her finish like she did. And I said, if she can do like this again, then she could potentially win or challenge for winning. But I said it's highly unlikely, and that she'd probably be fighting for bronze, second or third, because I thought Shericka Jackson at the time could beat her. And then I made this video after I saw the Jamaican trials, because it was a few days later. I waited so that I could see. I didn't do no reactionary stuff. You know, on this channel, we don't do that unless it's a roast. So in that case, I said, and anybody that has followed track and field at least 2 Olympics before this one and a few world championships, let's say 2 or 3. So you don't even have to have followed this for a decade at this point, right? Or maybe it is a little bit over a decade because you're seeing this. You would notice that there are some athletes from Jamaica, Kenya trials, the British trials, the Canadian, the Americans, you see them where they come out for the Olympics and they go boom, and they pull out something that they don't do at the Olympics, because the prestige of making it to the Olympics for the first time, even if you made it to the World Championships for some athletes, to make it to the Olympics for the first time in your head is just like crazy. Wow, I can make the Olympics. And then that's what Gabby Thomas said. I said if she didn't do it, what would she run? A 21.8. And what did she do? She ran a 21.8. Now, I thought her max ability probably would have been, without that, a 21.83 at the trials. So she actually a little bit underperformed, which means if she could really haul her butt, she might be able to break 21.8 without that finishing kick. But I've seen so many of her races, and I've told you time and time again that these athletes, when they try to make these championships, sometimes they do a move. And that's where that little myth comes from, where it says the Americans can't reproduce their time. And it's really just unfair. Shelly-Ann Fraser-Pryce, she's sometimes run her best times at the Jamaican trials. And although she would win in the 100, right, that's not necessarily her best time, or at a random other meet. Sometimes her best times would be at the Jamaican trials. But people use logical fallacies. They like to point at other nations and say, your nation does it, not mine. Your athletes do it, not mine. This person's peaking too early because that one won, so I forgot and I got an emotional attachment. No, we'd use logic and reason here. Now let's go back here. Now that we've analyzed both, let me put this back on the screen here. Right? Oh yeah, and don't forget to kiss the diamond, right? Don't forget to kiss the diamond here. Now, with this being said, who wins at an Olympic redo? Okay. Now, analyzing both of them. Oh, wait a minute. I forgot one important thing. Looking after the Olympics. So now we see Prefontaine Classic, right? Oh, I got this on the screen. How did I have this on the screen? Wrong thing. Looking at the screen, here's the Prefontaine Classic. Now, this is when Kambunji won. I was satisfied with that, actually. I was surprised, but I was satisfied. I'm like, yes, she finally got a good win over some great athletes in the field, right? Now, Kambunji won this. Slow time because it's illegal. Remember, anything over 2.0, this is 2.4, it's a very fast tailwind, and then she ran only a 22.11, right? Now let's look at Shericka Jackson as she's progressing after the Olympics. So here's the Olympics. Obviously, she would have had a rest after that, but she runs a 21.95. She gets second in Brussels at a Diamond League, right? Against Mboma. And then she runs again, loses against Mboma again, but she runs a 1/100th of a second PR of a 21.81, because earlier when she appeared to, at least to me, to be holding back, she ran a 21.82. So let's keep this in mind. Very, very important. Now, I would lop this up to she probably just had a bad race, right? Everybody's not going to run fast times every single race. So that's going to come into play when we talk about the Diamond League. But what would have happened at the Olympics? All right, here's the matchup. All right, here she comes. Gabby Thomas, USA on the left, and Shericka Jackson for Jamaica on the right. Now, it depends on the lane assignments, but let's assume that they're near each other. Now, even with Jackson being on the inside or the outside of Gabby Thomas, I don't think that influences a lot. But let's just say Gabby Thomas got to see Jackson on the outside of her. Let's just assume that she was there instead of Shelly-Ann Fraser-Pryce. Shelly-Ann Fraser-Pryce was on the outside of Shericka Jackson. Actually, that might make this worse. Let's just talk about this irrespective of lane assignments, because then Jackson will have somebody fast to key off of. And I told you, if she got somebody to key off of like Talu or Fraser-Pryce and she's on the inside, it's over. It's over. That actually would just give it easy to Jackson. If she has a Fraser-Pryce on the outside of her, it's done. So in that case, we don't have Fraser-Pryce on the outside. And then we're going to give Gabby Thomas Jackson's view on the inside of her, right? So she's going to be on the inside of Jackson. In this case, I think that Jackson, remember I told you in that video too, that Shericka Jackson probably can run a 21.74. So in this case, I got to give it 7 out of 10 to Shericka Jackson on this one. I got to give it 7 out of 10 to Shericka Jackson. I think that based on what she has shown, right? Based on what she's shown here, that she actually might be able to pull out a 1-2 for Jamaica, right? She might have pulled out a 1-2 for Jamaica. But there's a case. It's a case in point. Because let's just say all she could do is the 21.82. That's still going to be good enough because where they finished at, that actually might have been good enough to, but Mboma slingshots and like kind of picks people off at the end. So it's going to be hard to say right here. But one thing I can say is that she finishes ahead of Gabby Thomas. And I think there's about a 50-50 chance she finishes second. But I think that it's safe to say that at least bronze, she gets that bronze ahead of Gabby Thomas. Gabby Thomas gets bumped down to fourth. And if it's she got Shelly-Ann Fraser-Pryce to her outside, I definitely would say that 7 or 8 times out of 10, we're going to stick with the lower number, that she gets second. She gets a silver. That's what I got to say. That's if she didn't pull that that mess up move, you know. It's just kind of like, man. Now, let's look at her at the Zurich meet. Let's look at her at the Zurich meet. Remember, they got the diamonds there that you guys got to kiss? Don't forget that, right? Let's look at her at the Zurich meet. As Shelly-Ann Fraser-Pryce is looking at her, she said, look, I'm finna troll y'all. I ain't finna be at this meet. Y'all can go over there and fight for these spots. I'm going to look at my buddy Shericka Jackson, right? I'm going to look at my buddy there. Now, who wins on this one? Let's look at this matchup here. Let's go over to Gabby Thomas's page right here so we can show her face, her determination right here. Great picture. I think based on what I saw here, I think Gabby Thomas would also lose against Shericka Jackson. But you know what? It might be a little bit different. You know why? Because I'm going to give it 5 out of 5. 5-5. It's hard to give it, but I might actually give her the slight advantage right here. It's 5-5. I'm tempted to give her a 6 out of 10 advantage to Gabby Thomas. The reason being, my initial reaction is that Shericka Jackson gets it. But here's the big but. I think Gabby Thomas could have won the whole thing, actually. And the reason being is because when she's got something really crazy on the line, like the Olympic Games, there's a bid that the U.S. could come and get a buy in the 200. It's the same way as making the Olympics. You saw how Conera Hayes finished in that 400. She said, nope, Marilita, you ain't taking me down. She came out of that curve. She went zoom. And then she was fighting and fighting and fighting. It could have been about the 30,000 too. But she's fighting and fighting and fighting. And she said, boom, I got this win. And I got the ticket. I got punched the ticket. 4 Americans coming through in that 400. And I think Gabby Thomas might have been able to pull something out. Not necessarily that same type of move where she finished, but she could have gutted it out, I think. She might have learned her mistake at the Olympics where she started dying down and her form started to go, where she would have gutted it out in that last 30 or 40 meters and might have actually taken the whole thing even against Mboma, which ran a PR. And one last thing, Shericka Jackson is so focused on herself and either spaced out or something that she didn't lean. She did not lean at this race. She did not look on the inside to check where Mboma was. If she did, she might have been able to muster out something in those last 20-something meters, because it wasn't like Mboma was doing that crazy fast finish. It was like a slow moving train where it was hard to catch her, because that was near Mboma's PR territory too. So it wasn't like that. It was very slow and hard to catch her. And so she might have been able to pull something had she looked to her left, which she did not. I've seen so many races with Shericka Jackson. It's starting to be a pattern. It's a pattern at this point. And then she didn't lean. I don't care if she still would have lost. The fact that she didn't lean when they were so close there. Anything could have happened. You prepare for a lean just in case. We don't know if there could have been anything that went with Mboma right before the line. You lean, you accidentally trip up, you dive just like Cherry did too, right? That I don't know. But she could have done that. So in this case, I think Gabby Thomas would have taken this whole thing. It would have been a close race, but she might have ran into 21-7 territory, which I think she has that capability of doing without that move and her natural progression of improvement. I think she would have been in that 21-7 territory. She would have learned her mistake and that she might have taken it. So I'm going to give a 6, a slight advantage. I'm torn here with the 50-50 chance. I want to lop that up to a bad race that she had. I mean, that's just her last race. There's no telling. There's plenty of times where people have bad races. And here's another thing. Why, final thing, nail in the coffin. I know this is extended. Some people lost their attention span. Boo-hoo to you guys. Here's the final thing of why I said that Shericka Jackson might have gotten silver here. Here's the thing. I forgot to make this point because I had to record this so many times. Here. Did you notice that she matched her 1076? But then she came here. She's breaking down now that time is going on. She isn't maintaining or getting faster like Shelly-Ann Fraser-Pryce, right? She isn't maintaining her speed or getting faster like Elaine Thompson-Herah. She's at least maintaining her speed. That 10.6 that she just ran over in Zurich was her potentially just holding back still. We don't know. It looked like she was very comfortable. It didn't look like a spectacular start from her. It didn't look like she was just going extreme. It was a good race, but it didn't look like it was no pressure on her. So she's just running as she runs. Now here, she ran that 1092. She's breaking down. Now, she had that stomach cramp, so we're going to give it to her with that. I thought my eyes were deceiving me when I said it looked to me like she tripped. Then I heard her interview or a couple of days later, she said she had stomach cramp and she felt like stopping. It must have been that sharp of a pain at that point, right? That first 20 or 30 meters. Now, then she had one without that stomach cramp, right? She had it 2 days later. A 1097. So she's still breaking down and tired. And then she comes through after she's back in the 10.9 highs. Here she is, back almost at 11 seconds. So she's still sub 11. So she's sub 11. And then she's cranking out this. So she's basically back in her shape earlier in the season. If you look back here where she was back earlier in the season, right? So she's breaking down and then she ran a PR. Imagine had she ran at the Tokyo Olympics where her coach is getting her to peak at the correct right moment, just like in her 100, and she ran on that momentum. I think, like I said, I see her at a 2174. Now, what do you guys think? Do you guys agree, disagree? Let me know in the comment section below. And don't forget about kissing the diamond on the way out. And do not listen to Shelly-Ann Fraser-Pryce when she says this. Definitely don't listen to her when she says video Shericka Pantisa. Now I know my whole thing got demonetized. But anyway, thank you guys. You have been watching a Head and Shoulders ATR production where we cover athletes, performances, and otherwise that are head and shoulders above the rest. Catch you all on the next one.